We have some people here tonight I want to introduce. This is Detective Sullivan from Lancaster Sheriff's Station.
Hello.
In charge of domestic violence over there. We have Shelley Henson, Community Safety Supervisor, Jim Winky, my partner up there, and my name's Craig Steffen. We will be filming live tonight. This goes out on Channel 28, and it might be rebroadcast sometime, but we're not going to film anyone in the audience tonight, so feel free later on if you have any questions during the broadcast here. Just raise your hand. Give me a chance to get over there. I'll give you the mic, get it up by your mouth kind of close, and ask the question. If you raise your hand and start talking, they won't be able to pick it up, and we'll have to start over again. So, Detective Sullivan, ready?
I am now,
Okay.
I think. Hello, I'm Melissa Sullivan. I'm a detective at Lancaster Sheriff's Station. I'm a detective for domestic violence. I've been a deputy for about 17 years now. And I started doing detective for domestic violence in 2007. And this is Jennifer. She's the domestic violence advocate that works alongside with me. This year in January 2009, we got a grant to have an advocate to work alongside the domestic violence detective, which is great. And she actually, every single domestic violence report that we take at Lancaster Station, she contacts the victim and offers them resources and stuff. And today I'm going to be showing a couple videos. They are graphic. I'm going to be showing some pictures that are graphic also. And we're going to be listening to a 911 tape. I'm going to take you through the whole process that we go through when we take a domestic violence report and the whole process of filing it with the court and what happens with that. And there are some brochures back there that I put out about victims of domestic violence and some pamphlets and also a wish list that the Valley Oasis needs for their clients that they work with. I'm going to go over a couple statistics that we have. Last year, in the city of Lancaster, we wrote 1,140 domestic violence reports last year. And in Quartz Hill and the Lake LA area, we wrote 175. This year already in the city of Lancaster, we've taken 328 domestic violence reports. And we're only, 4 months into the year? And in the Quartz Hill area and Lake LA, it was 51. So what happens when we respond out to a domestic violence call, the deputy, they have to determine whether a crime did occur, and we take the report. Once the report's turned in, the handling detective, we try to contact all the victims, witnesses, and we even try to interview the suspect. And we try to, when we write our report, we try to tell, both sides of the story. The suspect, what he or she says happened, and what the victim says happened. Once that happens, we put the case together. We have 48 hours. If somebody's arrested on a Friday, they're not seen in court until Tuesday. So we have until Tuesday before 12 p.m. to file that case. And if we don't file it in time, the case gets rejected and the suspect gets released. Once we present the case to the district attorney, they decide whether or not, what charges they're going to file. They're going to file a misdemeanor or a felony. And what they look at the suspect's, the whole record. They look at if they've been arrested for domestic violence, if they've been convicted of domestic violence, and the severity of the injuries. And based on that, then they determine whether or not they're going to file charges. A lot of times, we have a lot of cases that are rejected by the district attorney, even if there are visible injuries. And what they look at sometimes is that if they're going to take this to a jury, is the jury going to find that defendant guilty? And that's what they're looking at. If it's one person against another, there's no witnesses. A lot of times, unless the suspect has a record, they don't file any charges. It just gets rejected, and which is frustrating because we've been out to people's houses and arrested both parties like 20, 30 times, and they keep getting rejected, the cases, because there's either no injury or no witnesses. And so a lot of the times it gets rejected. And we have people who, citizens are complaining. They're like, why aren't you guys doing anything? Well, we're writing the reports, but when it gets to the district attorney's office, they, for some reason or another, they reject the case if there's no independent witnesses. So what we rely on, too, is I'll go in when I get a case and I'll listen to the 911 tape. I'll listen to the call. Sometimes you can hear yelling and screaming in the background, and all that is used as evidence in filing the case. So when I take a case over, I'll let the district attorney listen to the 911 tape, and a lot of times when they're hearing the person's voice on it, seeing how scared he or she is, sometimes they use that to determine whether or not, okay, we'll file charges. And after the case, they're going to file a felony or a misdemeanor, they go to their arraignment. And if it's a felony, 2 weeks after the arraignment, there's a preliminary hearing. And what happens there is victims, witnesses, the handling deputy, detective, we all go to court and we testify to what we were told, what we saw, and then the judge there makes a determination. Is there sufficient evidence to believe that a crime did occur? And once that happens, then it goes to, jury trial or pretrial. But they always offer the suspect or defendant, they always offer them a deal. They'll give them a deal at the preliminary hearing. And sometimes it can be, a year in jail or, probation, time served, but you have to go to domestic violence classes or alcohol classes. And then after that, and we always tell the victim, show up to court. A lot of times they're afraid and they don't show up to court, and the case gets dismissed. And we see a lot of that happening because the victim, they're scared. They've probably been a victim of domestic violence for, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And they don't think anybody's out there to help them. And that's why a lot of times they're scared to show up to court. Or they'll get threats from the defendant's family, the defendant. So we try to go there and let them know. A lot of times the case is settled before the victim even has to go up on the stand. Because what happens is the defendant sees that, oh no, the detective's here, the victim, witnesses. A lot of times, if they don't take that deal that they offer then, the next, if they find there's sufficient evidence, the sentence is doubled. So they're looking at, if they take a deal, then okay, then I won't get like 6 years. So a lot of times they take the deal, and we tell the victim, a lot of times you don't have to testify. And that's why now I think it's great that we have an advocate, because tomorrow we're going to court with a victim who's, scared to show up. So we're going to go with her there and show our support that we're there for you, and we'll be there for you. Any questions so far? Nothing? Okay. I'm going to show a video. It is graphic. It has been shown on, I think it was Court TV or one of those TV shows, but it's, I'll show it here. I don't know if you'll have to turn off the lights, but okay, it's not working. No, I don't see it. Oh, actually, yeah, here it is.
Baltimore, Maryland. Inside this retail cell,
Oh, we need the volume up.
surveillance cameras record what seems like
Do you have volume here? This. I see it right here. Yeah, you might have to. Okay. Hopefully they can see.
Baltimore, Maryland. Inside this retail cell phone store, surveillance cameras record what seems like a typical business day. Roger Hargrave enters and waits to speak with his estranged wife, Yvette Cade, as she helps a customer. He's an ex-con with a history of stalking and violence, and Yvette has a protection order against him. But what he's done in the past pales by the unspeakable violence he's about to commit.
I thought that it was a lot of horseplay in the beginning because it just didn't seem something real.
But it's not horseplay that customer Sharon Smith has witnessed. Hargrave has just doused his estranged wife with gasoline. Now he's chasing her out the back door with a pack of matches in his hand. Outside, Yvette falls, breaking her ankle. Seconds later, as Sharon Smith opens the front door, Yvette runs back in, her hair and clothes in flames.
I told you county 911 center, what is an emergency?
Hargrave dashes in to grab his car keys, then out again.
He looked us dead in our face and told us we better not try to help her.
But they do help, smothering the flames and comforting Yvette until police and paramedics arrive. She suffers third-degree burns over 60% of her body, but survives.
I know it was nobody but Jesus who took the fire and carried that burden for me.
Within hours of this sadistic crime, police track Roger Hargrave to a crack house and take him into custody. Charged with first-degree attempted murder, he claims that he was only in the store to pay a bill and blacked out when he saw his wife.
But that's not what you see here in the video. He clearly had the chance to stop, but he intended to kill me.
With the video as evidence, the jury finds Roger Hargrave guilty, and he goes to prison for life.
And I have one more, but let me see if I can get the sound to go up. Okay, this one is really graphic. It actually shows a lady being shot.
The divorced couple is the focus of a story being developed by TV reporter Ingrid Cruz, who attempts to question Marisa. Suddenly, the unexpected. In full view of the camera, Emilio Nunez guns down his ex-wife Marisa, firing his gun 12 times before fleeing. A clear case of videotape documenting cold-blooded first-degree murder.
That's the video is the best evidence that we can use. And what we try to tell the handling deputies, if they have a video camera, videotape, when you get on scene, videotape the victims or witnesses or even the suspects making a statement, because that video is actually going to sometimes make or break a case. And just like one, we did get a conviction and we had a video, the deputy decided to, videotape the victim statements. And if we didn't have that, we probably wouldn't have got a conviction, because every single victim and witnesses recanted on what they said. They said that didn't happen and stuff like So we urge everybody video. And a lot of times, everybody says, oh no, I don't want to, get involved in somebody else's business. If you hear people yelling, screaming, and arguing, call us. It's not butting in. You might be saving somebody's life. And that's the same thing that lady who got on Avenue L, who got stabbed in the back with a sword. All the neighbors there heard arguing going on, but they said it always happens, and that's why nobody called. So, I try to tell everybody, you can remain anonymous, but just call. If you hear arguing, yelling, don't just look and turn the other way, and a lot of that's happening. You see, in the Valley Oasis, they used to be known as the Antelope Valley Domestic Violence Council, and a couple years ago was it? They changed the name to Valley Oasis because I've been volunteering there since 2001. But we found when we would go out and do booths that people would see domestic violence and walk the other way because they didn't want anybody seeing them picking up information on domestic violence. It's, everybody probably has been a victim of domestic violence. It doesn't have to be physical. It can be verbal. That's a form of domestic violence. So a lot of people just think, oh, it has to be physical. No, it can be verbal, emotional, and it happens everywhere. So I'm going to show you, actually I'm going to play a 911 tape. I hope you can hear it. It's just, I'm going to have to mute out because it says the address and name, so hopefully I will be able to mute. Oops. And this one gets me teary-eyed every time I hear it.
Saturday, 7/12/2008 at 2:03 a.m.
Lancaster Sheriff Station, Nevada, speaking. How can I help you? I'm sorry, please hold for 911. Hello? My dad just stabbed my mom.
He just got your mom?
He just stabbed my mom.
What did he stab her with?
A sword.
A sword?
Yeah. And he's leaving right now. I don't know what he's doing. He's just going downstairs. He's in my room. He's in my room.
Okay, what's he wearing?
He's in a muscle shirt and black shorts.
Muscle shirt and black shorts. What does he want to find this man?
He's both. He's a Mexican and white. Mom! Please.
Okay?
Okay, but where are we going to go? Can we just go to my grandma's?
Just stay there.
I'm scared. I want to go to my grandma's.
You can go to your grandma's then. You can stay on the line until we get there, okay?
Okay, he stabbed my mom and he's leaving right now.
Okay, is he having a vehicle or is he walking away?
He's in his vehicle. Right down GMC, he's driving away. I don't know where he's going. My mom's just leaning against the bed. He stabbed her with his...
What direction did he go?
I don't know. Hold on. He went to his right.
Right on what? On Avenue L?
On Avenue L, yeah. Please, just hurry.
What's your name?
My brother has the store right in the chair.
Tom?
Please, just hurry up. I don't want my mom to die.
Okay.
Put the phone down, Junior. Please.
What was you...
And that's sad. You listen to that 9-year-old talk, she doesn't sound like a 9-year-old. She sounds like she's older than 9. And, yeah, that's sad. But the 911 tapes, they help a lot. And it's hard to take a 911 call. We have civilians that take the 911 calls, and a lot of times, they have to put out their emotions when they're taking the call. I mean, what do you tell a little girl who's crying? We don't want to say she's going to be okay because we don't know that. And let's see. Oh, I have a graph here. This is from February last year, and February of this year. It's some statistics that we have. Oh, there it is. I think this is it. And it has a breakdown of, the area. This is in the city. That's all the domestic violence that happened last year. It just kind of breaks down, what areas that the domestic violence happens. And they actually have it broken down by race, age group. And I'm trying to see, oh, there it is. And then this just shows a graph of what times a day that domestic violence is happening. So we try to figure out when domestic violence happens the most, and whenever that happens, that dictates our hours and our days off. So they figured out that most of the domestic violence happens on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Friday, long day at work, long work week. Saturday, that's okay. Sunday, oh, now I'm just sick of being home with my spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend. And then Monday. And for some reason, I don't know why, but Tuesdays is very high for domestic violence also. Don't know why Tuesday is. But domestic violence is bad on holidays. Valentine's Day, tons of arrests for domestic violence. Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all the holidays. It's because family gets together, and a lot of the time, most of the time, alcohol was a factor in it. A lot of people, alcohol or drugs, but alcohol was one of the number one things that is involved with the domestic violence. And then here's a breakdown. And this is a breakdown of the age group. It's pretty even if you look at it. 41 years and above, 17%. 18 to 21, 17. 22 to 25, 17. 26 to 30, 21. So it's somewhat even down the line. And then they did a breakdown of race. I think that's next. Oh, okay. They did a breakdown, male and female. That's a big difference. And a lot of reason why is because a lot of male victims, they don't want to report. They don't want to report that their wife is beating them up because they'll think, they're going to think I'm a sissy. And I try to argue, no, you're not. You're preventing something from happening. Because what's going to happen, he's going to just keep getting hit. Finally, he's going to react to the beating, and he's going to wind up in jail. And I try to tell him it's okay if you're a victim. Everybody has been a victim of something once in their life. Whether it's getting your house broken into, getting robbed, everybody has been some type of a victim of something. And then here's the breakdown of race. It's pretty even between black and white. And Hispanic is a little lower, but it's pretty even. And why you don't see other cultures, it's okay to beat your wife in, different countries. That's why you don't see, there's only 1% unknown, 1% Asian. It's okay back in other countries to beat your wife. And I think in one of the classes, what was it, the rule of thumb, back in the day, if the stick wasn't bigger than your thumb, it was okay to beat your wife. And that's, back in the day, the wife was property, like livestock. Actually, livestock was probably treated better than their wife. So that's some statistics that they just came out with. Now I lost, okay, there it is. Then I have some pictures that I'll show. I can figure out how to, there we go, slideshow. And these are graphic, so just I mean, I'm not showing anything real bad because I don't want to offend anybody. But, you know, we try to take pictures of bruising. You can see she was probably stepped on. And we look at all, like, if we took a report for this, if we see any visible injury, even if it's really minor, we file it as a felony. But if they don't have a record of domestic violence, they'll drop, the district attorney will file it as a misdemeanor instead of a felony. And that she looks like she was whipped with a cord on her arm. And I like this picture because even though kids are in the other room, they can see, they can hear, and that's why we tell our deputies, interview the children. They can be the great witnesses. The parents think they don't hear. They hear. It affects them. And it affects them. The Valley Oasis, they have how many different parts is the agency broke up? Yeah, they have 8 different programs. I don't know all the programs that great, but they offer all sorts of things. They offer shelter. If they want to go to the shelter, they have a 60-day program that they can go to the shelter. They teach them how to be independent, because a lot of people, they've been sheltered. They've been sheltered away from their friends, family. You know, shoot, move them to the Antelope Valley, get them as far north as you can, away from the family. It's, you know, that's why I believe that it's domestic violence is so high out here, because the abuser likes to move their victim away from family and isolates them. Makes it so they can't leave the home, use the phone, has no friends. So the shelter, they give them food, clothing, counseling, and they don't have to pay for anything. They teach them how to be responsible. They teach them how to manage money. They give them life skills that they need so they can go out and make it on their own. They also have, what is it? It's called Transitional Housing Trans 1, and it's a 2-year program that is on the shelter's grounds. And after that, they have a Trans 2, which is off, well, not after that, but they also have Trans 2 that is off grounds, and that's a 2-year program. But when they're in the shelter, they save all their money for them. They have, I don't know if they save it in a savings account, but they save their money, so when they get out, they can put a down payment or a deposit on an apartment. So like in Trans 2, when they're done with the 2-year program, they pay for their housing off grounds, and then after the 2 years is up, they give them the option of taking over that lease. So once they take over that lease, it switches into their name, and now they have stuff of their own. They also have a thrift store in Palmdale. It was called just a thrift store. Now I think it's the Valley Oasis Boutique. Okay, they just changed the name. I don't know when they changed the name, but I saw that. I'm like, okay, boutique. But that's at the 3030 East Palmdale Boulevard. And they take donations. And what a lot of people don't understand is 100% of donations goes back to the victims. So if you donate something, the clients that get to shop there for free, of course, they give them a list, because if you don't give them the list, they'd leave with the whole store, because victims like, to just hoard everything. So they give them a list to what to shop for, and they get to shop there for free. And when somebody buys something, the money goes back to the shelter. So it's, that's why I like it. I mean, I like the other thrift stores, but that actually, it gives back to the victims. They have a Works outreach program, and that's if somebody doesn't want to go to a shelter. It's an outreach program where they don't have to go to the shelter, but they can do the outreach program. They have counseling. They have individual, group therapy, lawyer services. Is that right? Legal. Okay, legal services. And I like that. They have Kayla's Place, which I really like, and we actually did a pilot program, and we're using it for children who witnessed domestic violence. We'll take them over there, and they do a forensic interview. And what that is the child is with a therapist who knows how to talk to children. There's a two-way mirror, and I'm behind the two-way mirror. I have a microphone, and the therapist has one, but she doesn't put it in. But what they do is they show the child everything. They show where I'll be sitting, and they take them into the room, and they'll ask them if, they know what's bad and good, and if they can tell what colors. And then she'll talk about, she'll read the police report and then talk to the child about that and ask the child questions. And it's videotaped. So after she's done talking, she'll ask me, is there anything else? And I'll ask her a question to ask the child, and she'll change it around where the child will understand. So, and that's good. And they also have that for parents, too, where they can learn how to interact with their child. Gives them parenting skills. They'll actually have the mom or the dad and the child in the room, and the mom will have an earpiece in, and the therapist will teach her or him how to interact with their child and tries to teach them parenting skills. Because if they don't have it, so they'll learn how to interact with their children better. And now, it just started a couple months ago, I think, I'm not sure. Now, Kayla's Place also deals with sexual assault victims. They do the SARS program now. So they wrote a grant, and now they give therapy and counseling to victims of sexual assaults. So, which I think is great. They're doing a good job. So they offer it right away. They get counseling for being a victim of sexual assaults. Strengthening young families. I don't know what that is, but I think, and I think that's that. Any questions? There has to be some questions. Anybody?
Detective Sullivan, if I can just say something.
Yes.
I just want to remind everybody, because of the sensitivity of the topic, all of you are not being taped. The cameras are staying up here on Detective Sullivan and us. So if you ask a question, I just want you to know your identity will be not shown. So I just want to add that so that you can feel comfortable asking questions.
You can disguise your voice, pretend you're somebody else. Yes.
Let me get the mic here for you. Just hold it up by your mouth.
I'd like to know how many clients or participants can Valley Oasis house a month?
Come on. You guys know the question? Answer? I believe, I want to say at least 60. I mean, but I don't know, because if they have families and stuff, right now we're trying to house a victim and 6 of the victim's children. So now what they have to do is they have to move, because they want to give the victim and the children their own cottage area. Because what happens, it's kind of like living in a dormitory, and you have a common living area, and then you have rooms. So I'm not sure how many, but they have a new website. I don't know if it says on the website. 60? I got it right. Yay. Okay, so 60. I was right. But, I mean, it's great. A lot of people think it's, a shelter. They have myth stories. The shelter is very nice and clean. Yes?
What happens to the rest of the people that eat shelter? I mean, do they bump people out early? Or,
No.
The rest of them go
They have shelters all over the United States. If they need a safety move, a victim, say the abuser knows where the shelter is, or they feel something's going to happen, they'll move them out of state. They'll move them to another city. So they work with all the other shelters throughout the United States. So they'll safety move, and there's somebody on grounds 24/7, but it's great. They give them a shopping list to go shopping, and they have a little, storage area where they have tons of refrigerators, and they get their shopping list, and they shop for the week for things that they need.
Do they shop in groups?
I think they shop individually, but I could be wrong.
They shop together.
So the one cottage, okay. So, yeah, one cottage, they shop together. So, see, I learned something new every day. So, but, the shelter, it's neat. They have free childcare on grounds for the children. And even if they do the outreach program, if you bring your child, they have somebody who watches the children. They have a play area, and they teach the children, try to interact. At Christmas time, they have a thing they put together, and the victims of domestic violence, they get to shop free for their children.
What severity does this victim have to be eligible to go into some kind of program like that?
And it could be mental, it could be physical.
You have to have proof this is a percent.
They've had to file a police report or something. But even if they were victims, and I would say I don't think do they have to file a police report, or just if they're a victim of, if they feel they're a victim of domestic violence. What will happen is once they go through therapy and counseling, they can find out how severe that it is, and they help out a lot. A lot of people think that they don't, but I try to tell everybody, just if you hear it, see it, call. I'll even call, but if I don't want, if I'm off duty, I'll call. I won't get involved because I don't want to jeopardize the safety of myself or my family. So I'm not going to.
How do you remain anonymous if you call it and they want somebody to witness? Because that would make you a witness to what is going on, obviously.
You can remain anonymous. If you leave your phone number, sure. If we see who calls and you left a phone number, we'll call you. And if you say you want to remain anonymous, I'll write in the report that I talked to a witness who was just to remain anonymous, and I'll just write that in the report.
Hang on one second.
Do the police officers go to the house of the person who wants to remain anonymous? How do they remain anonymous and get the report?
We'll call them on the phone. If they say they want to remain anonymous, we're not going to go knock on your door. Hey, you call. You don't want to jeopardize your safety for reporting, because if that was the case, you wouldn't want to be a witness the next time. You'd be like, forget it. I don't care.
Yeah, because a lot of the times when people do get involved, the victim even gets angry, and both of them get mad at the person who is trying to help.
Oh, yeah, exactly. They nothing happened, but all I say is, that one time when you decide, no, I'm not going to call, that person could be dead. So just, you think. I tell people, what if it was your child? What if it was your mom or dad? Would you, your brother or sister, would you want somebody to call? And just, if you want to remain anonymous, you can. Just, that's, it's so easy just to pick up the phone. If you don't want to call 911 because we get your telephone number when you call, it pops up on the screen, your address, then call the local number. You know, before, when you called 911 on your cell phone, it would go through CHP in Sacramento. They put you on hold, and about 5 minutes later, you'd finally get somebody, and then they transfer them to us. So a lot of times I just say, put in, for 911, put in the local number. Put, you know, your local sheriff station number. And 661-948.
People have that in there.
Yeah, 8466. Just dial that. If you don't, and that's the easiest way to remain anonymous, because we can't get any information. We don't get your address. You could say a fake name if you wanted to. So there's a lot of ways, and I wish, you know, more people would be willing. Because, and it's funny. It's what I was telling somebody who taught somebody who taught. How does I want to say this? Do you remember when you were a child growing up, and you came home to your mom or dad and said, you know, Billy hit me. Oh, he hit you because he likes you. You remember saying that? Who taught that? You know, no, it's hitting. No, you don't hit. But it was okay. Oh, no, he likes you. He hit you. He just likes you. No, that's not the case. It's a learned behavior. So if a child is seeing it happening in their home, most likely when they grow up, they're going to have that same behavior. They're going to hit their girlfriend or boyfriend. It's a learned behavior, and it's a whole cycle, and it's just going to keep happening and happening. And that's why we're trying to stop it, because it's does anybody remember seeing in the newspaper, I think sometime this year, a lady had her throat slashed? It really wasn't in the paper. There wasn't really news coverage on it. She didn't die, but there was no coverage on it. And then it is a big deal. And I wish, you know, they would print more about domestic violence in the papers. I wish people would talk about it more. And the thing is, oh, no. Well, no, it's, you're a victim of a crime. And it's okay to be a victim. And a lot of people are afraid to report it or tell. I know the last class, or last thing we did last year, we had one of these, and you could see, you know, somebody wanted help, and she wanted to get to the shelter. And we said, yeah, we can put you there. Because I knew right away when we're talking, I could see, I could pick out that she needed help. And then, of course, she stayed around, but she never went to the shelter. And they find out it takes 7 to 8 times of a victim leaving and going to the shelter before they actually leave their abuser. And what that means is us going out to that house 100 to 200 times. And deputies, they get frustrated. And we get frustrated because we go out, we try to give them advice, and the next thing you know, oh, nothing happens. And it's frustrating because we wish, you know, why can't you see it? Why can't you get help? But unless you take, you know, unless you take classes, you don't know. Like they offer, it's mandated by the state of California, if you volunteer or work at a shelter, you have to take a 40-hour training class. And I teach the 3-hour law enforcement part of the training class. And it was neat. And I even took the class because I just wanted to see what they were teaching. And then the law enforcement side, it was like they weren't telling people. They were like, well, why aren't you guys doing anything? Well, we are. What happens? Why does it take you so long to get there? And what some of their thinking was, well, when a deputy arrests somebody, it's like wrestling. Okay, tag, you go out now and take my place. Well, that's not how it works. If a deputy arrests somebody, that's one more deputy taken out of the field. If 5 deputies arrest people, that's 5 that are taken out of the city, and there's nobody to replace. So say you have an emergency in Court Hill. I had one 911, I don't know where it is, but it took us 15 minutes to get there. And that's with our lights and sirens. So I'm figuring that deputy's probably coming from Lake LA all the way to Court Hill. And it took that long to get there. And that's frustrating. This entire time, you know, she's on the phone whispering, acting like she was talking to her girlfriend. And playing the whole time on the phone. Finally, when deputies got there, she just broke down crying hysterically. But, you know, you could, you know, see that she's a true victim. I don't know what happened with that case, but, you know, But yeah, just call. Any more questions?
You said that.
Hang on one.
You said that something about a preliminary hearing in 2 weeks and stuff like that. Do they hold the perpetrator for the whole time in custody while this stuff is going on, or do they release him and then he has time to antagonize the victim again, so that they won't testify and all that other stuff?
Well, they antagonize from the jail all the time. They call, they have that hold on. Sometimes, if they have a lengthy record, unless they can make bail, they'll be in. They'll stay in custody. If they have no history, most likely at the arraignment, the judge says, okay, come back in this date. It's in 48 hours. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Do you remember? It's the old age. No,
We do it all day, too.
yeah, I know. Oh, okay. Like, when somebody's arrested and I talk to the victim, he's going to bail out. I know his family's are. I'll call bail enhancement and I'll say, I want his bail increased to $5 million. Well, they look at all the factors. Has he been arrested before and not shown up for court? They'll take everything into factor. I'll give them the reasons why I think the bail should be high, and then they decide if they're going to grant it or not. Sometimes they don't, and they say, no, $2 million. So then I'm still happy. But, yeah, so I try to increase the suspect's bail if I can, if I feel that they're going to get out and be a threat to the victim. And that helps them, because the victim feels, okay, I feel a little safer. I know he's not going to get out. I know he can't make that bail. But they also have the VINE program, which is if you're a victim of a crime and the suspect's arrested, you can, if you have their booking number, that's the way to identify them when they're in jail. If you register, they'll call you or send you an email every time that suspect is moved in the jail. If they go to sick call or pill call, if they go move beds, dorms, when they go to court, and then when they get released, they will call you and notify you that, so-and-so has been released or is getting released. So, I mean, I think that's a neat program. So.
Good evening, everyone. Ms. Sullivan, I'd like to thank you for bringing this to the community's attention. I think a lot of people want to get as much information that they can about family violence and the importance it is for education for our community to let them know about what's going on. But I'd also like to add to let people know that family violence calls are the most dangerous calls for our police force. And they don't know what's going on when they go out to a call. So it's real important. They don't know if it's a sword or a gun or a knife, what's behind those doors, what's been going on a lot of times. I'd like to introduce myself. I am a master facilitator for domestic violence intervention programs. There are 5 programs here in the Antelope Valley who work with the batterers. I have been working in that field for quite some time, and a lot of the cases that Ms. Sullivan talked about are mandated to the 52-week batterer treatment programs. Anyone can voluntarily go to those programs, so if you have a situation of family violence, you can ask your partner to voluntarily go to that program when you see that there is an issue going on in your home. And just to let you know that family violence is moving into a new age. We have children hitting children, teenagers living in the home who are over 18 hitting each other because they're repeating the cycle that they have been seeing. We have grandparents who are taking in children who are having family violence issues. We have blended family issues going on. So family violence goes into many arena now. It's not just the father hitting the mother. I have female groups that females are batterers also. So just wanted to help Ms. Sullivan recognize all the different aspects of family violence. Thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you.
I'm sure you guys saw, we have some pamphlets back there, and it's about, well, this one, it's for victims of domestic violence. This one's for friends and family of domestic violence. Another one, real man can be abused. And it does happen. And then they have domestic violence is not a straight issue. The shelter, this one that we have is they help men, women, children, emancipated minors, gay, lesbian, and transgender. And they're one of the only ones that houses all that. Because a lot of people, they don't house men. I know some people are thinking, you know, oh, men can't be abused. Why do you have men in the shelter? They separate them. They don't have males and females live in the same dorm. They separate them. So, yeah, I think it's you know, great program, but pass it on to friends. If you see one of your friends that's a victim of domestic violence, just hand her or him a pamphlet. Let them know. Tell them to call me. I'll talk to them. 661-940-3852. That's my direct line. Sometimes I'm not there. I have 3 days off, so I have somebody calling me and wonder why I'm not calling them back. I have great days off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So those are good days off.
Detective Sullivan, could you talk a few minutes on just possible signs that if someone, whether it's a family member or a friend, and they're not quite sure, and if the victim, as we know, isn't ready to come forward, possible signs or things that they might be able to do to get them help or get them to the shelter? I know it's a personal choice, but...
Right, yeah. I mean, if you see that they're being withdrawn, you know, if it's a family or friend, you see they're not acting the same way, if they're not going out a lot, if you see them wearing turtlenecks or long sleeves, they might, you know, have bruises underneath. That's a way that victims hide it. They wear, you can see, they'll put on a lot of makeup on their faces. You know, see them being withdrawn. And it's a lot of things. If they stop calling you, one of your friends stops calling you, and you know that they just got into a relationship with somebody, and then all of a sudden the phone calls stop, or you know they're talking on the phone and it hangs up. They don't go out with you anymore, because that abuser will eventually, they'll act like Prince Charming in the beginning, and until they know they have the victim. And then that's what they'll start degrading her or him, isolating them. Let's see. And they have, there was a handout out there that's a quiz. See if you're in an abusive relationship, and they ask certain questions. A lot of the abusers, they will hurt their victim in privacy so nobody can see, because they don't want somebody to call. They ask if they call you names. They call you, you're stupid, you're being stupid. That's a form of domestic violence. If you're told enough times that you're stupid, you're going to believe that you're stupid. You're going to believe, even though you're not, and you knew for years that you were. Somebody's saying it over and over and over again. You're going to start believing, wow, maybe I am stupid, and you'll start, believing it. Let's see. I was going to see if I covered it all. And a lot of times, people don't think, pushing is a form of violence. It is. It is a crime. I mean, if somebody says, they're pushed, we take a report for that. That is, and then we'll determine. A lot of times it's not going to get filed, but we take a report for it. A lot of time, another sign does the abuser, does he or she embarrass you in front of friends and family? That's another form. Does he put you down when you do accomplishments? Yes.
If you weren't, I talk loud here. If you weren't in a relationship and you were starting a relationship and this person's showing signs of jealousy, would you think that would lead to sometimes?
It could, but you never know.
Not even in the relationship?
An abuser is a very jealous person. They're jealous because all the attention has to be on the abuser. So all the attention has to be on that person. They intimidate.
To be able to, to identify somebody before you get into the relationship.
I wish they had like the sex offender register, and I wish they had a domestic violence one. Wouldn't that be great? You could put a name in and find out before it happened. I think they were thinking of doing that, but I don't know. I mean, it would be great. You're going to date somebody. Well, I want to see if he or she's an abuser. Well, then they are probably. But I mean, the abuser, they can get help. I don't know the success rate. Do you have any stats on that?
Unfortunately, we don't because
Let me get the mic here to you.
Unfortunately, we don't have stats on that because people move around too much, and for them to offend in the same town is not common.
Right. Do you find
They can change programs too. Like I have double offenders and triple offenders where they may come to my program, but they may also go to another program. And there's 5 programs in the Antelope Valley, so they could be in trouble multiple times.
I always wanted to ask this question, don't take offense. I don't know if I should ask it, but oh well, I'll get in trouble if I do. Now, and I say this all the time, I was like, the domestic violence class, to me, not as a deputy, so, I feel sometimes it helps them learn how to hide the abuse. I mean, I know you bias, but sometimes I think that I'm like, wait, is this going to teach them how to abuse and be able to hide it? I mean, I was just curious.
I understand the curiosity, and some people, we have been accused of that, yes. You're not the only one to raise that question.
See, it's a myth, so we have to get it out of you.
It is a myth. We do have to teach consequences and what the penal codes of the California are, and they have to understand what dissuasion is, what felony is, what a misdemeanor is, and all the consequences thereafter. Understand that a second domestic violence call, let's say we don't have a history, you've never been in trouble for family violence, okay? You break your girlfriend's phone. That's an automatic dissuasion charge because you broke a phone so that person cannot seek help.
136.1.
Correct.
The penal
I don't
code.
know that part.
And it is $100,000 bail.
Detective Sullivan. But second domestic violence charge will automatically be a felony, okay, up to a year in jail. So we really talk about consequences a lot in our program. They're with me for a year, 2 hours a week for a full year. And they do have to pay for their own consequences to come to our program.
I'll have to go to your program and see how it is, so we can spill that myth.
Very welcome.
See, I think you guys are curious, huh? Oh.
Let me get the mic here to you. We are taping this, so please use the mic.
How many persons do you have in your program?
I'm only one program.
Oh, you're one program?
I'm only one program in the Antelope Valley. There's actually 5, one in Palmdale and 4 in Lancaster. I couldn't give you the stats to the other programs, but there's approximately 300 people going through our program a year.
Wondering, what kind of preventative things do we have in place? I know we know that children have been abused and abusers grow up to abuse a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Do we have anything in place that really helps prevent the problem before you have to get involved?
The way I think that would help prevent it, I mean, before us get involved, friends, family, neighbors, I mean, if people, we try to educate. I wish, domestic violence, we see it in schools. Boyfriend, girlfriends in schools, and that's age starts, unfortunately, for them. Or you have to be, boyfriend, girlfriend living together, or been married, fiance, and have a child in that. I just wish, we just need to educate more in the schools. I think the teachers, see, that's a new thing we could do, go into the schools and try to teach. But I think they need to educate. Education, I think, can help, prevent some of it. And I try to educate people and let people know.
I agree. I think that a lot of times that people grow up to abuse because they don't know what a healthy family looks like. Mm-hmm. And if we can provide kids a picture of what a healthy family looks like, what good, healthy morals are, mm-hmm. that I think it would make a huge difference down the road. But if we're just waiting until there's a problem and mm-hmm. we're running and arresting, and I mean, we've waited too long. It just seems to me that we need to have programs in place for our children, for our teenagers, for young couples that are getting married, things in place to help them understand what does a healthy family actually look like. How do you deal with struggles and frustrations before you hit? So.
And the thing is, what is a healthy family? You can see on the outside, you can think a family is healthy, but you don't know what's behind closed doors. You can think that family, oh, that's a great family, leave it to be with us. Well, we saw what happened behind closed doors because the TV cameras are in there, but you don't know. I mean, I wish, we could have cameras on the walls or something. But, I mean, that's a good question. What is a healthy family? You don't know really what a healthy family is. Because there's a healthy family on the outside, and it might not be healthy on the inside. Because they're painting a picture that they want everybody to see. So you can think it's a perfect, great, healthy family, but behind closed doors it might not be that way. But, I mean, I think education, and even another preventive measure, if you guys hear yelling or screaming at a neighbor, call us. Because the thing is, it might have just been yelling and screaming. But if we go in, we can offer them places that they can go get help. We can tell them, maybe you should go to marriage counseling. Maybe you should do this, family therapy or something, and that could be a way to prevent it. So if you hear yelling and screaming, call. Because even this going out, it doesn't mean we're going to take somebody to jail. That's the last thing that we want to do is take somebody to jail. Because it disrupts the whole family. Because if we take somebody to jail, children are there. They don't like us. They think we're bad because we just took the parent to jail. So if we can, if they tell us, nothing physical happened, and we don't see any injuries, and there's no witnesses, if we can prevent it that way, I think that's the best thing. Get out there early. So if you do hear yelling, screaming, have us go out, because we'll give them the tools or try to give them the places where they can go and get help. A lot of people go to their churches to try to get help. They go to friends or family. But, when we go out, we'll try to point them in the right direction. Because I try to tell the deputies, have them give me a call. And just like now, Jennifer, she calls all all the victims, and we try to get them that help. A lot of them say, oh, no, it was a mistake, I'm not a victim. But, you know, we keep calling. They appreciate it because they don't think anybody cares. Because, like, before I had the advocate, I can't contact, because last year I handled 356 cases, and that was just me. And that's not even all the domestic violence. We have, I think, 7 other detectives that handle just robbery and assaults. So, you know, I could only handle that many. But now we have the tool of the advocate. We can touch a lot more people, even if it's non-criminal domestic violence, because we do take those reports. We call them and see if they need any counseling or help. And that, even us calling that one time, they know somebody cares and somebody's listening. Because before, we can't call every single person and say this and that. I mean, if I had 24 hours a day, maybe I could. But now we have the advocate. I think it's the best thing that Lancaster has. I mean, I think it's a great program. And the city, they contributed 25% towards that grant because they thought it was a serious problem. So, I mean, I think it's a great thing that we have, and it's a great tool, and we're going to utilize it so we can hopefully educate and stop. I wish they could have an article every day in the paper about domestic violence saying, you know, stop, prevent it, or have signs up saying, you know, to call us, you know. Thanks for Chris Brown, it got a little more publicity, but I wish people would talk about it more, and they wouldn't think it's just such a scary thing to talk about, because it happens everywhere. I'm sure everybody has been a victim of domestic violence in some form. Even, you know, I mean, it might not be major where it's a problem, but, you know, just people just need to be educated more, and I wish people would talk about it more. If people talked about it more, it would just be like, oh, you know, you see, oh, a house got burglarized. That's, you know, I wish it could be just an everyday news topic where people could talk about it and would feel comfortable. So I think one thing is change the name to Valley Oasis. You think it's a spa. So you're going to go, what is that? And then if that one person takes that pamphlet, you know, maybe you help somebody. So hopefully, you know, we can do that. There is a run against violence this weekend that they're doing at Pelona Vista, is it? The park that you see off the 14 freeway when you're driving into Palmdale. They're having a run against violence this weekend. They have it every year. So it's April 25th. Yes.
Hang on one second. Let me get the mic for you. I know everybody here can hear you, but they won't pick it up for the taping.
Because I go to ABC and it has that wear your jeans thing against the sexual assault. Is that that's something totally different?
That's something totally different, yes.
Yeah.
But then they're having some thrift sale at the Silly Tilly, or Tilly Silly, the thing in Little Rock on the 138. Is that what it is? Yeah, they're having some sale that helps. The proceeds are going to go to help the shelter. So,
I was actually a victim of domestic abuse by an ex-neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
A year after I caused him to be evicted, he called and threatened my life and left it on the telephone, and I called the police and they came out and took a report.
Mm-hmm.
They would have taken him to jail that day had I wanted to, and I didn't realize that was domestic violence, but it was.
Yeah, it's some type of violence. I mean, he was
2 weeks later, a detective called me to see if it had been rectified to my satisfaction. They followed up. That's really good, and I just want to let you guys know that.
I just wanted to read something. It's in the pamphlet, or it's in the little package I gave you, but I know a lot of people, now I can't find it, why they stay. But this was about men. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, a lot of victims stay in the abusive relationship because they're afraid of change. They don't want to disrupt their children's lives, because the children are a big factor, because they're the ones that, they cry, and, then the parent starts to feel sorry, and, they don't, I don't want to move, I don't want to move schools and stuff like that. And that's, security. A lot of people stay because it's security. They're familiar with it.
Can you file a report on a threat? And if you can, when did that come into effect that you could? Because I was a victim about 11 years ago, and they could never file a report on a threat.
Right. It depends on what type of threat was made. I mean, if somebody threatened to kill you, yeah, you can file. That's called criminal threats. It used to be called terrorist threats, but ever since 9/11 they changed it, and now it's criminal threats. So, yeah, if somebody threatens your life and you actually feel that that person can carry out and you're afraid, yeah, that's a felony, and you can file it. Doesn't mean the district attorney's going to file it as a felony. They'll look at the record and stuff like that. But I just try to tell people, if somebody text message you, save those messages. I spent an hour taking pictures of like 125 or 200 messages on a cell phone. And that's, I had to do that for the district attorney. So, cell phone, save messages. If you have a friend, tell them, save things. Gather all the evidence that you can so it can make that case that much stronger, so we can get a conviction. And so hopefully we can try to stop the cycle of violence. And, after they get out of jail, they have to go to their domestic violence classes. Hopefully at least, it probably will help one person, 2 people. It can help 2 people. You never know. It will help. One abuser will be helped.
Or create a trail and start off with a protective or restraining order, and then continue to keep notes and document what the situation is. They need a paper trail to help make that case stronger.
Exactly. I mean, I have a victim who never did a paper trail, and, nothing could be done. The court couldn't help her because there was no paper trail. So something happened, report it. Even if you're afraid, if you want nothing done, we tell her, and if you want nothing done with it, at least you reported it. At least there is documentation. We went out because of this. If you don't want to press charges, okay, it's ultimately up to the district attorney whether or not they're going to file charges, because they act on behalf of the victim. Because we know the victim's scared and the victim's terrified. The victim doesn't want to see their boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife in jail because they feel sorry. Because another story that the abuser did, oh no, they said I'm going to get 10 years. They'll call them up. They'll call their victim up and say that the DA told me I'm going to get 10 years for this. I don't want to go away for 10 years. See what you're doing to me? You're going to make me go away for 10 years for this? They don't offer them 10 years off the bat. And that's what I tell them. I go, no. They're lying because they want you to feel sorry for them. And they'll use that. Oh, poor me. Poor me. So, that's another thing. We try to explain to the victim everything. And we'll try to tell them, he or she, they're going to say this. They're going to try to make you feel sorry. And we try to, give them the support so they can follow through with that. And then hopefully we can stop it and make a difference and stop the violence. But like I said, it takes education. So I think we need like a little section in the paper about domestic violence. Print something every single day. But not on the back page, on the front page. A little banner up there. So, hey, maybe I should talk to the newspaper and say, tell them.
Why don't they?
I don't know. It's just something popped into my brain. No, but they need to make it more aware. They need to have more billboards around saying domestic violence and stuff like that, so it doesn't seem like a foreign thing. kids see it more, oh, okay, so they're aware of it. If you see it a lot, you're going to go, oh, and it's not going to be as shameful. People, every day you and me can be victims. Deputies can be victims of domestic violence. We see it. Because thing is, we're human. Everybody think, oh, you're a sheriff, you're different. No, we're all the same. We just have a different job. So anybody can be a victim of domestic violence. So I just wish, and I'll have to call the newspaper. I'm sure you'll do that. But something, if we could do this more often, it would be better. Once a month. Maybe we can get more people in this. Do it on a weekend. Because a lot of people don't want to come here after they've had a long day at work. Do it on a Saturday. So, see, we can do that.
If you have been a victim of violence, but it's not happening right now, and you wanted to get out of that situation, who would you call first?
Who would I call first? You can call the shelter. They have a shelter, unfortunately. You can call detective, or you can call a shelter, family, friends, and maybe somebody can point you in the right direction. But the shelter, they do an intake on people. Sorry, guys. They do an intake on people when they're, if they want to get into the shelter, and they're looking at the well-being of the victim, the clients, and the staff. They have to ask a lot of questions. Sometimes I feel that the questions might deter a victim from going to the shelter because they're already traumatized and they're a victim, and I think a lot of questions just makes it more hard and more frustrating, and I think that's why some victims don't go to the shelter because, they just want help now, and they think that, why are you pushing and doing this? So maybe we can make some changes, but, they have to ask questions, certain questions in order for you to get into the shelter because they want to make it safe for everybody. And they don't want anybody getting hurt. Yes?
I'd like to also add to that. The shelter has an outreach program here in town that will help assist people to get knowledge and information of what they can do, how to obtain those restraining orders, how to help find a way out. Maybe they just want some counseling to work with that particular situation, and that the outreach center can help them. So you don't necessarily have to go to the shelter. There's an outreach program that can assist also.
Yeah, that's what I went into a little bit, but because a lot of people, they don't want to go to the shelter. And what I'm trying to work on now is actually getting a animal shelter or kennel off grounds, because a lot of victims don't want to go to the shelter because they can't bring their pet. They don't want to lose their pet. So we're trying to work on now getting a kennel so their animal can go there. So that's in the works kind of right now. So hopefully, I don't know when it's going to happen, but hopefully soon, because we have the property now, so now we just have to do it.
You just triggered a thought when you said that. Did you guys know that there are more animal shelters than there are shelters for humans?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I had a case once, and it was kind of funny. I had a case. It wasn't funny. It kind of irritated me, but I had a case. No, I didn't have a case. When I was a deputy, not investigating, they had a warrant out for a guy who shot his dog, and it was they would extradite out of another state. Okay, they had an arrest warrant for a domestic violence suspect, but they wouldn't extradite out of another state. I didn't get that. I was like, wait a minute. When did animals get more important than people? I think they're both equally important. So that was just something I was like, why is that? But, I never looked into that, so I'll have to do that now. More work. Any more questions? Yeah, if you guys have any questions and you didn't want to ask tonight, like I said, you can call my work phone, 940-3852, and I'll try to answer your questions and get back to you. I know another person in the audience We've been playing phone tag for a while. And I was out for a little bit, but they needed some statistics. And let me, one of it. I lost my piece of paper. So I think that's about it. I mean, if you have any questions, feel free to call. I will try to get back to you. And if it's not even about domestic violence, and you feel that, you're not getting any help at the station, call my number, and I will try to get something done. That's what I'm here for. So, okay, I think that's
And
it.
if you lose her number or don't know it, you can just call the regular number for the station, the 948-8466 number, and ask to leave a message or to speak to Detective Sullivan. Thank you, Detective Sullivan.
Oh, thank you.
Turn that mic off.